Right, hello YouTube, welcome back to more Kerbal Space Program. Now, last time we realised we'd screwed some stuff up. We are building a Grand Tour ship to go around Jool now, and its moons. Now the ship is designed, it is ready to go, but we made some slight mistakes on the core. The thrusters were the wrong sort, or could not burn monopropellant. Strike one. Additionally, we realised, we need 2 engineers. Because we need 2 to deploy the centrifuge, not 1. Or, well, not none, like I thought it was going to be. So we need to hire an extra engineer, and that means Val, sadly, is not going to be able to come with us. Because we literally don't have space on the craft. We have designed it with a certain crew capacity in mind for being able to return to Kerbin. I suppose we could technically send up a ship to dock with it, but I'd like to do this in one go. So, an engineer is going to have to take... in this case, our new recruit, Gleber. Welcome to the team. You're straight in on one of our biggest missions ever, as is tradition. Gleber is going to have to use MechJeb to fly this thing up to the space station and dock it and all that. So, this section of the craft is the return module. It combines both a large heat shield for aero braking at Jool, which hopefully is not going to be a problem for the landers. We may have to do some experimenting with entry height there, with also a section designed to landers at Kerbin. But it needs a way of getting up to the station, so... or to what we've built already. So, we're going to build that quickly now. Size. Fire decoupler. This should be a bit easier because I don't think any of the parts are going to be as heavy as the crew core, except the engines, which will probably be even heavier. Those are going to be a bit of a interesting mission now. I think we can actually do that. That actually works quite nicely. For our fairing. Put those on the same. What we will do on this one is we will remember the extra step that we forgot last time, which is the other thing we forgot. I wanted to put some little Separatrons on the first module's fuel tank to kick it away when it decouples, so that it's not sat in orbit near the station, which we completely forgot. So now there's a giant awkward tank floating near the station that we can't do anything about at the moment. Hey ho, them's the brakes sometimes, apparently. Right, we've got to get this up to it. We'll give this about 4.5, maybe 5. I want this to be able to do it quite easily. Just for the sake of not having to use any extra fuel yet. This might have to slow itself down. We might be really low on fuel by the time we return to Kerbin. Again, this is the part responsible for making sure everyone gets home, so even though it's a minor part of the overall mission, it is also a very critical one in some ways. Yeah, we'll go for Manatee. We haven't used those yet. Yeah, it looks pretty hopeful. We have 3 fins actually, because of course it's a 6 symmetry engine. We've got another, we've ended up with another cruise missile looking rocket with this one. We had that a little while back with with the space telescope. This is looking a little bit the same actually. Right. Say, ready to launch. As long as it gets quite near it, it shouldn't need much of its fuel supply. And it can potentially even reload out of the main lander if it needs to, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. We have a bit of flexibility because we have landers that should be reusable and should be able to refuel themselves. If we have to refuel certain aspects of the craft, it can do multiple flights down to maybe, I guess, Pol, seeing as that has the lowest gravity or less landing requirements. Could do multiple redocks and refuel the main crafts or other crafts if it has to. Right. GT Core. Sent guidance. You'll auto stage until stage 1. That is... I believe that's correct. Oh, hold up. Yeah, that is right, because we've got 4 parachutes. I was going to say, we're trying to land this thing on 1 parachute. Launch the rendezvous. Engage autopilot. Can't engage SAS. Is MechJeb going to be okay without it? If MechJeb can fly this thing, we'll just go. If it can't, we'll have to add some extra AI assistance. But I believe as long as we have a scientist on board, we should still be able to fly this thing with MechJeb. I'm noticing NA for control. Well, it says NA for control, but it is still working. You can still send commands to it, I believe, so I think we're okay. Manatee working excellently. Very rapidly propelling us up through the atmosphere. We should be okay budgetarily to do this. I reckon it could cost us 2 million, but at the end of the day, maybe even 3 million, but at the end of the day we're getting 6 back, so we're still going to make profit off of this. If we can afford to fly it at all, we're going to make at least double back. If not, probably more, so. And of course the science, which will be significant, and we'll be able to get that engine, be able to actually refuel on the way. And it, just in time for the wrong type of flight, but we could potentially do an upgraded engine module and launch another ground tour at some point. Or even send the same craft back into another one, depending on if it manages to slow down at Kerbal or not. Because, of course, it would not be beyond the realm possibility to land on the other planets out there. Or land on other biomes out there, I should say. We will need to land at biomes with good ore concentrations for refueling. But then again, with the low fuel requirements for Bop and Pol, and... where's Val on this? And fairly low on Val. We could probably do any of those to some degree. Yeah, in fact, we could do, as long as we refill the Tylo, we could do Bop, Val, and Pol in one go, I'm pretty sure. It's got about 3k Delta V in it, and it takes about 1700 for Val, and then about, yeah, it's only going to be about 2100 in total. As long as there's a fuel tank when it's full tank when it starts. And of course we sort of have a spare because the Lathe Lander is just an upgraded version of the Tylo Lander with some slightly different equipment and setup, so. In fact, we probably should just bring 2 of the Lathe Landers, but it should be fine. We should be balanced enough thrust-wise. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of complaint that we don't have man for SAS, but I think MechJeb is doing an okay job of it anyway, so I'm not sure it actually matters. With that, do we have solar panels on this thing? We do. Yeah, we won't be able to do much if we run out of battery, so... oh, there it is. Catching up to it, and yeah, and there's the debris. Still very close to it, so we're going to have to be a little bit careful with that during docking maneuvers. But I think we have indeed managed to properly encounter it, which is a good start. I believe our RCS thrusters will also actually work, which is a problem we had in the previous one. Just gotta hope they're not too thirsty in terms of monopropellant. I'm actually going to point us towards it and then eject, so we're definitely... yeah, Smart AS target plus. Let's point us towards it, and then we'll use the rendezvous autopilot to bring us closer. In fact, as long as we're not pointed towards it when we detach. Yeah, and that was the idea of putting the Deceptrons on it. Because it's a little kick, so it's just sat up in orbit and not in our way. Rendezvous autopilot. So do have small engines, we might as well use them. Yeah, they were put on there for exactly this purpose. It's a slightly bigger orbital assembly than the space station, but not too far off in some ways. And the Space Hotel even, I should say. We'll leave the heat shield deflated until we actually get to Jool. Or until we're actually ready to depart for Jool, I should say. I like to think they've maybe put some radiation shielding on it as well. Facing the front of the craft, so we're not getting irradiated on the way over. Especially given the nature of our own engine. I know some people have put like decorative decorative radiation shielding on their crafts when they've been using Nervas. I've seen that on some missions and things on the forums. Right, just kill rotation. Same for you. Kill rotation. Right, we now need to get rid of that. Set as target. Control from the back. Docking autopilot. Yeah, Yes, force roll to 0. We're going to do this properly, thank you. Nice and lined up. We'll launch the engine last since it's the heaviest part. Should keep lag to a minimum while we're near the station. Should allow the station to keep nice and rotated. It's not actually, I don't know if the engine is heavier than the two landers. The landers are 80 tons each. They're actually quite substantial. But yes, there's going to be a bit of work needed for the engineers anyway, aside from just inflating the centrifuge, because they're going to have to we're going to strut a few components up. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. I don't think the engine's going to have massive thrust to weight, but shoot, do we have enough power? We need, what, 5,000? I think we'll have enough power between all the parts on the craft. I just realised, to ignite the engine, I think we need like 5,000 power. Mind you, could charge over time, so it's fine. Yeah, the only thing that slightly worries me is if we're going to have the thrust to weight to do certain manoeuvres around Jool. Are we going to have enough time to slow down once we hit the moons? But I think we'll be okay. If we start slowing down immediately, if it looks tight, then we should be. We'll go right distance to axis, about 2 meters. Should probably slow down and start moving us towards it soon. Yep. Using a little bit of monopropellant, but we've only used about 12 out of 410, so should be perfectly fine. I tried to make sure we have a reasonable bit on each stage, and again we can refuel off the lander once it's docked. We can transfer its spare monopropellant away, apart from a tiny bit to push away when undocking, and it can refuel on the surface. The converters can also make monopropellant. We do have to remember to ditch the rocks before we try and return to the lander. In we drift. That noise, if you're wondering, is coming from this. I might even turn it off, because we don't need that. We don't need that noise, and we don't need it running because we haven't scanned Kerbin, but we can't scan Kerbin from this this inclination anyway. Cool, we are connected. We need the other one extended. It's just that one that's annoying because it makes the noise. Can we now inflate, or do we have to actually move the crew into it? No, we can just deflate now. Cool. We will move the crew into the living space while we're in transit. Since they're going to be up there a while, that is why we have modules like this at all. I want them to be, even if it's not required at all gameplay-wise, I'd like them to be at least somewhat comfortable during their long trip. And we have got a tourist on board, of course. And we have artificial gravity. Oh, I was wondering how they get around the torque. This is a counterweight. Oh, that's cool. They actually thought of that with the model. Yes, that's going the other way to stop any sort of rotational torquing. Stop it making the whole craft spin. Right. On to the next part of the craft. Assembly is going well. Now, we need to design quite a heavy launcher because we're going to have to launch the 2 landers now. In fact, I know we designed them separately. I might just launch 2 of the lathe ones because they're going to be basically the same, right? Like they're going to be exactly the same weight, so there'll be no balance issues at all. Yeah, I think we might do that. And then we only have to design one. We don't have to move the launch across to the other type. We'll just have 2 Lion landers rather than 1 Lion and 1 Tyrant. I think the Lion's a tiny bit lighter anyway. Slightly better for our Delta V. And they could potentially do a land. Yeah, and we'll do that because they could. Actually, no, I don't think we'll bring them back to Kerbin. Yes, the other thing I just realised, we don't need to bring the landers back, so our actual Delta V for the return trip should be actually better than it looks. Yeah, we'll just launch 2 Lions. They're practically identical. They've just got a bit less ore tank space, but I've realised the refinery is going to be running all the time. They're mining anyway, so it shouldn't matter. So yes, perhaps we wasted a little bit of time in the previous episode, but we still have to design this lander anyway, so... I'm not intentionally trying to fill out time. I should add, I am trying to get to this in a reasonable time frame. Don't want you all getting bored. I want to keep the metaphorical action coming. Payload. I thought this was 5 meter. And yeah, she's a big one. This is an 80-ton lander, which is not light. That is not a light thing to be putting on your top stage. And we need 2 of them. What I will probably do is I'll probably launch one and then skip the launch of the other. Just do it off camera. It's going to be exactly the same launch. You're not going to miss anything. Do we have 5 minutes? Ah, that's why it's weird, because I'm on the wrong search. Wrong search. Because we do have to design something that can launch something that heavy. Or even get to that part. So, strap that in place, keep it nice and solid. I don't believe we have a 5 meter engine. I don't know if there even are any. No, as I said, I think there are. This is an upper stage. Oh, yeah, it's quite large though. Like impressively so. Sort of thrust are we looking at with that? 2,800. Actually, that might do it. What's H2 oxidizer? Yeah, that'll do for an upper stage. Then again, would we be better just going for liquid fuel? Maybe not. Not actually powerful enough. God, what did we do before? We did that multi-mount, didn't we? Yeah, we had the multi-mount and then we had the other bits. I guess, are there some heavier engines we don't have yet? I thought we'd done most of the engine tech, or is this just a case of we're just at our limit? Size and weight. What happens if I do these for the main sails? No, they're too big still. Vectors? Oh boy, that's an expensive way to do that stage. Oh, imagine they're 18. Actually, maybe not. Actually, not that much more than some of the others. Actually, cheaper than some. Harriers, are they also too big? No, I think that's what we did. I think we did Harriers. LCH4 oxidizer, LCH4 oxidizer, yeah. No, maybe not. Oh, this is heavy. Oh, wait, no, this is even heavier, isn't it? That's why. Okay. Yeah, perhaps Vectors isn't such a bad idea then. Because they're very powerful engines. 6 Vector engines gets me half the way there. And then if we do some solid boosters as well. Big solid boosters. Clydesdales. Too big solid rocket boosters, as it turns out. Which is a shame, because that's about the amount of fuel we need. The amount of Delta V we need, even. Kickbacks? No. Oh, thoroughbreds, even. Low profile. Stumpier. It's not really enough, given we need to get it to the station without burning any fuel. Because we can't afford to throw off the balance. 8 Clydesdales. That should do it, actually, as long as it gets there in one piece. We can afford to burn a tiny bit of fuel from the landers, but we want to keep them balanced. Yeah. Lower these, we'll have to attach Septrons. I think we might even get away with just putting them at the top, actually. I think that'll still lift it away from the centre, but just in case, we'll also do the... a little bit of extra kick at the bottom. Should still kick them away, though. It's the primary bit. It's going to be the definition of a heavy launch. Right. We also need... but yeah, like I say, I'll launch this one. Then I will off-camera launch the other, because it will be literally a clone. It'll just be docking onto the other side. And then I guess probably at that point it'll be next episode we will launch the engines. Which will be the heaviest part yet. And I'm starting to... I think it'll be the heaviest part yet. I'll have to check. These are 80 tons. I'm starting to wonder quite how we're going to do that. Because it's quite big. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Right. Lion. Ready to launch. So, main engines. Those. Separate. Yep. That. Definitely realising just how big we're getting with some of these launches. You know, all frequently a few 100,000 in cost, but yeah, I suppose we knew that going into this. Right. Not the Rock Hound, although it's cool that that's still there. E-Core. Sent guidance. Save. What's the rendezvous? Let's go. 3, 2. Oh, 1. Oh, whoop. Whoops. Nearly launched that way too early. Excuse me? I don't think that's quite right. That seemed to be hanging on perfectly well a few moments ago. Let's put a few more struts on that, because something's clearly gone wrong there. I guess it loaded back in and the extra weight went... We'll throw an auto straddle to these just in case. Yeah. In case that's what caused it. That was weird. That was very strange. We're going to just, like I say, just attach plenty of extra launch supports. These things are expendable. Doesn't matter if they get toasted. Just to make sure that doesn't happen again. Here we go again. Launch. I think our launch pad is fully upgraded, and I don't think that even matters for the total weight of the craft, or at least... Shouldn't matter for the sports. I think it's just a lack of launch sports. I think it was just too heavy for the amount it had. Or because of where they're positioned, perhaps there's enough flex that it could sort of snap off. Anyway, let's try that again. What do we have that can run on the surface? Oh, a whole bunch of stuff apparently. You know what, we'll just collect it all now and store it away. Why not? Apparently we've never done this science before. Oh, right. Collect it all. Might as well, right? I thought we'd have done those long ago, but no, it's not that one, it's this one. The other thing we need to do is set the beacon to talk to the main craft. Just to make sure it is definitely pointing in the right direction. Whatever missions it was running are no longer as important as that, so in fact I think the Dres one can be converted over because its target doesn't exist anymore. Oh, there we go. A huge pillar of smoke. The line name seems more fitting than I perhaps initially realised. The tyrant name just came because it sounded a little bit like Tylo, but I can imagine that is quite the roar they're hearing down there on ground control. Also quite a stubby looking little rocket, but does appear to be working. Making some interesting noises. Right, can't even run that. In the wrong place. It's fine. Solid should burn up any minute. Comes a slightly scary bit, separation. Oh, what? Like a charm. Those are a bit, perhaps a bit too much gimbal. Okay, we may have to do some orbital shenanigans, or maybe not. No, actually, it might not be too bad. 9 kilometers. That's pretty close. If Mechtail does not deploy that once we're at height, I will. We'll deploy the solars. We might need to undeploy them once we get near the craft, because it's going to be quite wide. Those out. So what's our battery looking like? We should be actually, yeah, we should be fine. It's got loads of battery. Yeah, we'll actually maybe leave that retracted unless we have to do some orbits to adjust our approach. As far as I can tell, nothing is broken, which is always a good sign. Ah, yes. There's going... I have realised we are launching 2 of these. We're going to have to make one of these drone controlled to get it to the station. This flipping crew thing has been a repeated problem, you know. Yes, one of these is going to have to be drone controlled. I'll have to fit the next one with a quick little additional part. Just be detached once it gets to the station. I always miss stuff like this. I believe Val is our last Kerbal, and then the engine section is already set up to do that. So the engines are okay, but I've realised we've got 2 landers, not 1. Oh boy. We didn't quite allow for crew as much as we should have. Not that we couldn't potentially leave one in orbit around Kerbin, but I'm not sure quite how re-entry's going to go with all this, so... Don't know how much fuel we're going to have when we get back. Yeah, overshot us a little bit. That's probably why it's going to end up 9 kilometers ahead. Wow, maybe even further. 30 kilometers. Yeah, we may have to adjust the orbit a bit. A little bit of a pain because we're trying not to eat into our fuel supply, but if we have to, we could just not land at Tylo first. Refuel fully, and then... Does Tylo take the land? 2,200. Actually, we'd still probably be okay anyway. I don't think we'll be that short. Right. Rendezvous autopilot. Like I said, I'll be doing another one of these off camera. Rendezvous autopilot. Oh, on call. Ah, okay, cool. It's close enough that it's just going to beaten up and get us there at the right time. Oh, we will activate the solar panels because we're going to be maneuvering for a little bit. Don't run out of electric charge halfway. But we may probably have to track them in when we get close to the ship. I'm actually not sure quite how they're going to interact with the sides of it. I forgot we meant to do a mock-up. Also open the shield on the docking port. So we're ready to go with that when we get there. Now we can turn the lights on. Yeah, I think for the AI one, I'll just maybe put a core on the bottom of one of these with an antenna. Something really lightweight, just enough to get us there, and then maybe even put it on a separator so we can just kick it off afterwards. These are meant to be manned landers, after all. They're meant to bring a... The idea is they're going to bring a crew of 3 plus tourist on each landing, and the tourist will get to put foot on all of them, because I think he might even have to. Okay, no, he doesn't have to, but he has to come to low orbit. Well, we're going to do one better. Free of charge, we're going to land him on them. We do things right here. So we've gone to all the effort of getting you out there. We're already landing our Kerbals on the surface because we want to anyway. It would seem such a waste to not also land him there, kind of thing. While we're at it. Game's been pretty again. Nice eclipse. I don't know if eclipse is the right word. Corona, I guess? On the edge of the planet. Oh, you know what we forgot again? Separatrons. We're going to have more massive chunky debris near the station. We really didn't want over there. You know what? I hate to do it, but we're going to burn through a little bit of our main fuel supply as well because it's so cumbersome, and we're going to have that too near the station. So that's fine as long as we don't burn more than 800 getting there. It's not an issue. Hope we won't, given that was a little wonky. Not the fastest to talk over, but it's not awful. I think we've got some quite big reaction wheels inside that rather large pod. Yeah, Pandora. I think it's fine-tuning its approach. I think because the gimbal limit threw it off a little bit. It's going to be weird about this, isn't it? How close are we at the moment? I actually think it's pretty good once this is done, if it works. I do like this light. I forgot about this from last time, but I do like this little blue light this particular pod has. Yeah, I think we're going to have enough fuel to dock and it still be reasonably balanced. As long as the other one uses about the same to get to it. I might even strap some Eeloo thrusters on the back of the fuel tank on the next one that burn liquid fuel so we can use that to fine-tune things a little bit. Approaching the station, yes. The big piece of debris has floated a good 2 and a bit miles away. 2 and a bit kilometers away, and that's the one we had thrusters on has floated 80. As I said, that has made quite a significant difference to that. Disengage autopilot. Still drifting towards it. Control from here. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to target their docking port from here. I'm going to use our natural drift towards it to hopefully make this a little bit easier. I think we're too far away to actually target it specifically. Oh, are we too far away? Are we going to have to get a bit closer? Where's target on this thing? Target. Use a little bit of monopropellant, it's fine. We got lots. This guy's at least moving towards it. Yeah, we may have to adjust course very slightly as we get closer towards it. So also we're going straight towards it, but of course our orbit is a little bit curved. It's not actually a straight course. Just want to be able to set it as a target. Set as target. There we go. Docking autopilot. I think it's on the other side of it. So we use a bit of monopropellant, but again, it's fine. We should have enough spare. also going to fold these in. Oh, you're kidding me. We can't unfold them? We can't unfold these. I thought we could. Or refold them, I suppose. Yeah, we might need to modify the other one. This will do fine for the laid landings, but yeah, we're going to have to modify the other one a bit more heavily than I thought. I'll still do the thing off screen, because it's still going to be very similar. But I'll have to replace the solar panels with retractable models, because for the laid landing we need them. The atmosphere will smash them. Even though it's thin, and we're going to need to, say, adapt it for AI control, at least as far as getting to the station. So there'll be some very slight differences between the two. And I'll have to remember that when we get as far as actually docking. And warp a little bit. Let's wait for us to get to the axis, basically. Once it gets to about 20 or 10, I'll stop now, because it seems to be making adjustments now. See how big it thinks this thing is. Yeah, fairly big. The other thing that might be an issue is if it looks like it's going to collide. If it does, we'll revert this to launch and we'll modify both. It's going to be a right pain, but I'll still do the launch off screen. I'll launch both of them off screen if we have to dock them, but I think we're going to be okay. I didn't realise we weren't going to be able to retract these. I literally didn't even think that'd be an issue. Oh, and that's going to... I really hope we can retract those. We did bring repair kits. We may have to just repair half the solar panels on this thing, or just not go for the atmospheric brake. Oh god, yeah, if we do the air brake, we're going to break the solar panels on this thing, aren't we? I think just by default. I really don't want to relaunch it. We'll see how things go. We go very shallow in Duna's atmosphere with the heat shield in the way, maybe we'll be okay. Maybe it'll protect those ones. Maybe we can take them off. Maybe we can have the engineer literally detach and reattach them. Maybe that'll reset them. Actually, have him take the solar panels apart and reassemble them to retract them. If we have to do it, that's what we'll do. I could have sworn we could retract those big ones. Well, that's just in the hangar. Maybe that's why, because it's only in the hangar we can do it. Again, it might be okay, but we'll definitely have to modify the lathe one. The lathe one is going to need to be able to generate a lot of power, and it's going to be able to do it. Oh, I can't believe that, though. They work just fine, it's just that we can't retract them. Yeah, we'll have a check on those, see if we can retract those or not. If we can, good. But again, then, yeah, we might have to try the engineer disassembling them and putting them back in place. Might be a little bit lumpy, but in terms of symmetry, but we might just have to do it. The other one could potentially even have some extra solar panels mounted that are just fixed for the sake of getting it this far, so we don't have to extend them at all. That's another potential option. Just accept that we're going to lose them on the way up from lathe, because I'll have to take off. But it needs that much power generation to run the drills. It's not like we can go without. I don't think we're going to have collision issues, though. I think we've got clearance. At least I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah, okay. I think clearance is okay. Ring is spinning. Frame rate is slightly reducing. The engineer's already going to be out there doing stuff, so we'll see what we can do. But yes, that was certainly an unexpected issue. And we're almost there. And docked. There are now one craft. No, the Nautilus blanket arrays can't either. Okay. So we cannot do that. Tell you what we'll do. We'll quick save now. Before we end the episode, we'll see if an engineer can replace them. We'll just like take them off, put them back on, and that just sorts the problem. The brave Glurber Kerbal decouples from the space station in order to attempt to help salvage the mission. Yes, to be careful dodging the spinning centrifuge. Collision with that would probably send him off into space where I'd never see him again, which would not be ideal. Right, so you can't like manually retract it or anything. Can okay. He is capable of moving them. He is not capable of retracting them. It is slightly off-center now, but we're just going to have to deal with that. Okay, so no, we can't retract those at all. So I think our plan of aero braking at Jool is just shot. We can't do that, and we're going to have to modify the other lander with retractable panels. How off-center is that panel? Do I care enough to fix it? That's fine. Right. Anyway, we did it. We did get a successful docking. Do not let it be said that mission was a complete failure. We had some success. Again, I might brace that one, but we'll maybe see if there's much wobble when we actually fire at the main engine or try and turn and whatnot. And I'll see you guys again next time, where we'll have the other ship docked, slightly modified as it may be. Bye for now.